Hello, I'm reading from Autobiography of a Yogi. I'm starting with the footnote on page 48, which actually starts on page 47. The ego principle, ahamkara, literally I do, is the root cause of dualism, or the seeming separation between man and his creator. Ahamkara brings human beings under the sway of Maya, cosmic delusion, by which a subject, ego, falsely appears as object. The creatures imagine themselves as creators. And he's quoting the Bhagavad Gita. Naught of myself I do. Thus will he think who holds the truth of truths, always assured. This is the sense world pleased with senses. Seeing he sees indeed, who sees that works are nature's wont for soul to practice by, acting yet not the agent, albeit I be. Unborn, undying, indestructible, the Lord of all things living, not the less, by Maya, by my magic which I stamp on floating nature forms, the primal vast, I come and go and come. Hard it is to pierce that veil of divine of various shows which hideth me, yet they worship me, pierce it and pass beyond. And that's the Arnold's translation of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 5. A perfumed saint displays his wonders. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under heaven. There's an asterisk, he's quoting Ecclesiastes 3:1. I did not have this wisdom of Solomon to comfort me. I gazed searchingly about me on any excursion from home for the face of my destined guru. But my path did not cross his until after the completion of my high school studies. 2 years elapsed between my flight with Amar toward the Himalayas and the great day when Sri Yukteswar's arrival into my life. During that interim, I met a number of sages, the perfume saint, the tiger swami, Nagendra Nath Bahaduri, Master Mahasaya, and the famous Bengali scientist Jagadish Chandra Bose. My encounter with the perfume saint had 2 preambles, one harmonious and the other humorous. God is simple, everything else is complex. Do not seek absolute values in the relative world of nature. These philosophical finalities generally entered my ear as I stood silently before a temple image of Kali. There's a cross there. It says, Kali represents the eternal principle in nature. She is traditionally pictured as a 4-armed woman standing on the recumbent form of the god Shiva, or the infinite, because the activities of nature or the phenomenal world spring from the latent spirit. The 4 arms symbolize cardinal attributes, 2 beneficent, 2 destructive, the essential duality of matter or creation. Turning, I confronted a tall man whose garb or lack of it revealed a wandering sadhu. You have indeed penetrated the bewilderment of my thoughts, I smiled gratefully. The confusion of benign and terrible aspects of nature, as symbolized by Kali, has puzzled wiser heads than mine. Few there be who riddle her mystery. Good and evil is the challenging riddle which life places sphinx-like before every intelligence. Attempting no solution, most men pay forfeit with their lives, penalty now even as in the days of Thebes. Here and there a towering lonely figure never cries defeat. From the Maya of duality he plucks the cleaveless truth of unity. There's a asterisk next to Maya. Cosmic illusion, literally the measurer. Maya is the magical power in creation by which limitations and divisions are apparently present in the immeasurable and the inseparable. Emerson wrote the following poem about Maya, which he spelled M-A-I-A. Illusion works impenetrable, weaving webs innumerable. Her gay pictures never fail, crowd each other, veil on veil, charmer who will believed, by man who thirsts to be deceived. You speak with conviction, sir. I have long exercised an honest introspection, the exquisitely painful approach to wisdom, self-scrutiny, relentless observance of one's thoughts is a stark and shattering experience. It pulverizes the stoutest ego. But true self-analysis mathematically operates to produce seers. In the way of self-expression, individual acknowledgments results in egotists, sure of the right to their private interpretations of God and the universe. Truth humbly retires, no doubt, before such arrogant originality. I was enjoying the discussion. Man can understand no eternal verity until he has freed himself from pretensions. The human mind, barred to a centuried slime, is teeming with the repulsive life of countless world illusions. Struggles of the battlefield pale to insignificance here, when man first contends with inner enemies. No mortal foes these, to be overpowered by a harrowing army of might, omnipresent, unresting, pursuing man even in sleep, subtly equipped with mesamic weapons. These soldiers of ignorant lusts seek to slay us all. Thoughtless is the man who buries his ideals, surrendering to the common fate. May he seem other than impotent, wooden, ignominious. Respected sir, have you no sympathy for the bewildered masses? The sage was silent for a moment, then answered obliquely. To love both the invisible God, repository of all virtues, and visible man, apparently possessed of none, is often baffling. But ingenuity is equal to the maze. Inner research soon exposes a unity of all human minds, the stalwart kinship of selfish motive. In one sense, at least, the brotherhood of man stands revealed. An aghast humility follows this leveling discovery. It ripens into compassion for one's fellows, blind to the healing potencies of the soul awaiting exploration. The saints of every age, sir, have felt like yourself for the sorrows of the world. Only the shallow man loses responsiveness to the woes of others' lives as he sinks into narrow suffering of his own. The sadhu's austere face was noticeably softened. The one who practices a scalpel self-dissection will know an expansion of universal pity. Release is given him from the defeating demands of his ego. The love of God flowers in such soil. The creature finally turns to his Creator, if for no other reason than to ask in anguish, "Why, Lord, why?" By ignoble whips of pain, man is driven at last into the infinite presence, whose beauty alone should lure him. The sage and I, present in the Calcutta Kaligna hot temple, whither I had gone to view its famed magnificence, with a sweeping gesture my chance companion dismissed the ornate dignity. Bricks and mortar sing no audible tune. The heart opens only to the human chant of being. We strolled into the inviting sunshine at the entrance, where throngs of devotees were passing to and fro. You are young, the sage surveyed me thoughtfully. India too is young. The ancient rishis laid down ineradicable patterns of spiritual living. Their hoary dictums suffice for this day and land, not outmoded, not unsophisticated against the guiles of materialism. The disciplinary precepts mold India still, by millenniums, more than embarrassed scholars care to compute. The skeptic time has validated Vedic worth. Take it for your heritage. As I was reverently bidding farewell to the eloquent sadhu, he revealed a clairvoyant perception. After you leave here today, an unusual experience will come your way. I quitted the temple precincts and wandered alone aimlessly. Turning a corner, I ran into an old acquaintance, one of those fellows whose controversial powers ignore time and embrace eternity. One of those fellows whose conversational powers ignore time and embrace eternity. I shall let you go in a very short while, he promised, if you tell me all that has happened during the years of our separation. What a paradox, I must leave you now. But he held me by the hand, forcing out tidbits of information. He was like a ravenous wolf, I thought in amusement. The longer I spoke, the more hungrily he sniffed for news. Inwardly I petitioned the goddess Kali to devise a graceful means of escape. My companion left me abruptly. I sighed with relief and doubled my pace, dreading any relapse of the garrulous fever. Hearing rapid footsteps behind me, I quickened my pace. I dared not look back, but with a bound the youth rejoined me, jovially clasping my shoulder. I forgot to tell you about Ganda Baba (perfume saint), who is gracing yonder house. He pointed to a dwelling a few yards distant. Do meet him. He is interesting. You may have an unusual experience. Goodbye. He actually left me. Oh, and there's an asterisk that I missed next to Rishis. The Rishis, literally seers, were the authors of the Vedas in an indeterminable antiquity. The similarly worded predictions of the sadhu in Kalagat temple flashed in my mind. Intrigued, I entered the house and was ushered into a commodious parlor. A crowd of people were sitting, orient-wise here and there, on a thick orange-colored carpet. An odd whisper reached my ear. Behold Ganda Baba on the leopard skin. He can give the natural perfume of any flower to a scentless one, or revive a wilted blossom, or make a person's skin exude delightful fragrance. I looked directly at the saint. His quick gaze rested on mine. He was plump and bearded, with dark skin and large gleaming eyes. Son, I am glad to see you. Say what you want. Would you like some perfume? What for? I thought his remark rather childish. To experience the miraculous way of enjoying perfumes. Harnessing God to make odors? What of it? God makes perfume anyway. Yes, and he fashions frail bottles of petals for fresh use and discard. Can you materialize flowers? Yes, but usually I produce perfumes, little friend. Then scent factories will go out of business. I will permit them to keep their trade. My own purpose is to demonstrate the power of God. Sir, is it necessary to prove God? Isn't he performing miracles in everything, everywhere? Yes, but we too should manifest some of his infinite creative variety. How long did it take you to master your art? 12 years. For manufacturing scents by astral means. It seems, my honored saint, you have been wasting a dozen years for fragrances which you could obtain for a few rupees in a flower shop. Perfumes fade with flowers. Perfumes fade with death. Why should I desire that which pleases the body only? Mr. Philosopher, you please my mind. Now stretch forth your right hand. He made a gesture of blessing. I was a few feet away from Ganda Baba. No one else was near enough to contact my body. I extended my hand, which the yogi did not touch. What perfume do you want? Rose. Be it so. To my great surprise, the charming fragrance of rose was wafted strongly from the center of my palm. I smilingly took a large white scentless flower from a nearby vase. Can this odorless blossom be permeated with jasmine? Be it so. A jasmine fragrance instantly shot from the petals. I thanked the wonder worker and seated myself by one of his students. He informed me that Baba, whose proper name was Vijhudahanda, had learned many astonishing yoga secrets from a master in Tibet. The Tibetan yogi, I was assured, had attained an age of over 1,000 years. His disciple Ganda Baba does not always perform his perfume feats in the simple verbal manner you have just witnessed. The student spoke with obvious pride in his master. This procedure differs widely to accord with the diversity of temperaments. He is marvelous. Many members of the Calcutta intelligentsia are among his followers. I inwardly resolved not to add myself to their number. A guru too literally marvelous was not to my liking. With polite thanks to Ganda Baba, I departed. Sauntering home, I reflected on the 3 varied encounters the day had brought forth. My sister Uma met me as I entered the door. "You are getting quite stylish using perfumes." Without a word, I motioned her to smell my hand. "What an attractive rose fragrance! It is unusually strong." Thinking it was strongly unusual, I silently placed an astrally scented blossom under her nostrils. I love jasmine." She seized the flower. A ludicrous bafflement passed over her face as she repeatedly sniffed the odor of jasmine from a type of flower she well knew to be scentless. Her reaction disarmed my suspicion that Ganda Baba might have induced in me an autosuggestive state whereby I alone could detect the fragrances. Later, I heard from a friend, Alakanda, that the perfume saint had a power which I wished were possessed by the starving millions of the world. I was present with 100 other guests at Ganda Baba's home in Burwanda. Alakanda told me. It was a gala occasion. Because the yogi was reputed to have the power of extracting objects out of thin air, I laughingly requested him to materialize some out-of-season tangerines. Immediately the Luchis, Luchis, that's apostrophe, an asterisk there, flat, round Indian bread, that had been served on all the banana leaf plates, became puffed up. Each of the bread envelopes proved to contain a peeled tangerine. I bit into my own with some trepidation, but found it was delicious. Years later, I understood by inner realization how Ganda Baba accomplished his materializations. The method, alas, is beyond the reach of the world's hungry hordes. The different sensory stimuli to which man reacts, tactile, visual, gustatory, auditory, and olfactory, are produced by vibratory variations in electrons and protons. The vibrations in turn are regulated by prana, lifetrons, subtle life forces or finer than atomic energies intelligently charged with the 5 distinctive sensory idea substances. Ganda Baba, attuning himself with the pranic force of certain yoga practices, was able to guide the lifetrons to rearrange their vibratory structure and objectify the desired result. His perfume, fruit, and other miracles were actual materializations of mundane vibrations and were not inner sensations hypnotically produced. Hypnotism has been used by physicians in minor operations as a sort of physical chloroform for persons who might be endangered by an anesthetic, but a hypnotic state is harmful to those who often subjected to it. A negative psychological effect ensues that in time deranges the brain cells. Hypnotism is trespass into the territory of another's consciousness. There's an asterisk there. It says, studies in consciousness by Western psychologists are largely confined to investigations of the subconscious mind and of mental diseases that are treated through psychiatry and psychoanalysts. There is little research into the origin and fundamental formation of normal mental states and their emotional and volitional expressions, a truly basic subject not neglected in Indian philosophy. Precise classifications are made in the Sadhakaya and Yoga systems of the various links in normal mental modifications and the characteristic functions of buddhi, discriminative intellect, akamakara, egotistic principles, and manas, mind or self-consciousness. Its temporary phenomena have nothing in common with the miracles performed by men of divine realization. Awake in God, true saints effect changes in this dream world by means of will harmoniously attuned to the creative cosmic dreamer. And there's a cross there. The universe is represented in every one of its particles. Everything is made of one hidden stuff. The world globes itself in a drop of dew. The true doctrine of omnipresence is that God appears with all his parts in every moss and cobweb. And that is quoting Emerson in Compensation. Wonder workings such as those shown by the perfumed saint are spectacular but spiritually useless. Having little purpose beyond entertainment, they are digressions from a serious search for God. Ostentation's display of unusual powers is decried by the masters. The Persian mystic Abdus Said once laughed at certain fakirs, Muslim ascetics, who were proud of their miraculous powers over water, air, and space. A frog is also at home in water, Abdus Said pointed out in gentle scorn. The crow and the vulture easily fly in the air. The devil is simultaneously present in the east and the west. A true man is he who dwells in righteousness among his fellow men, who may buy and sell, yet never be for a single instant forgetful of God. There's an asterisk there. To buy and sell, yet never forget God. The ideal is that hand and heart work harmoniously together. Certain Western writers claim that the Hindu goal is one of timid escape, of inactivity and antisocial withdrawal. The fourfold Vedic plan for man's life, however, is a well-balanced one for the masses, allotting half the span to study and householder duties and the second half to contemplations and meditational practices. Solitude is necessary to become established in the self, but masters then return to the world to serve it. Even saints who engage in no outward work bestow through their thoughts and holy vibrations more precious benefits on the world than can be given by the most strenuous humanitarian activities of unenlightened men. The great ones, each in his own way, often against bitter opposition, strive selflessly to inspire and uplift their fellows. No Hindu religious or social ideal is merely negative. A messiah non-injury called virtue entire, sakalo dharma, in the Mahabharata is a positive injunction by reason of its conception that one who is not helping others is in some way injuring them. The Bhagavad Gita 3:4-8 points out that activity is inherent in man's very nature. Sloth is simply wrong activity. No man shall escape from act. By shunning action, nay, and none shall come. By mere renouncements into perfectness, nay, and no jot of time at any time. Rest any actionless, his nature's law compels him even unwillingly to act. For thought is act in fancy. He who, with strong body serving mind, gives up his mortal powers to worthy work, not seeking gain, Arjun, such a one is honorable. Do thine allotted task. Arnold's translation. On another occasion, the great Persian teacher gave his views on the religious life thus: to lay aside what you have in your head, selfishness, desires, and ambitions, to bestow freely what you have in your hand, and never to flinch from the blows of adversity. Neither the impartial sage at Kalahat Temple nor the Tibetan-trained yogi had satisfied my yearning for a guru. My heart needed no tutor for its recognitions, and cried a spontaneous bravo, the more resoundingly because it was unoften surmounted from silence. When I finally met my master, by sublimity of example alone, he taught me the measure of a true man. Chapter 6. The Tiger Swami. I have discovered the Tiger Swami's address. Let us visit him tomorrow. This welcome suggestion came from Chandi, one of my high school friends. I was eager to meet the saint who, in his pre-monastic life, had caught and fought tigers with his naked hands. A boyish enthusiasm over such remarkable feats was strong within me. The next day dawned wintry cold, but Chandi and I sallied forth gaily. After such vain hunting in Bhawandapur outside of Calcutta, we arrived at the right house. The door held 2 iron rings, which I sounded piercingly. Notwithstanding the clamor, a servant approached with leisurely gait. His ironical smile implied that noisy visitors were powerless to disturb the calmness of a saint's home. Feeling the silent rebuke, my companion and I were thankful to be invited into the parlor. Our long wait there beset us with misgivings. India's unwritten law for the truth seeker is patience. A master may very purposely make a test of one's eagerness to meet him. This psychological ruse is freely employed in the West by doctors and dentists. Finally summoned by the servant, Chandi and I entered a sleeping apartment. The famous Sohang Swami was seated on his bed. There's an asterisk there. Sohang was his monastic name. He is popularly known as the Tiger Swami. The sight of his tremendous body affected us strangely. With bulging eyes, we stood speechless. We had never before seen such a chest or such a football-like biceps. On an immense neck, the Swami's fierce yet calm face was adorned with flowing locks, beard, and mustache. A hint of dove-like and tiger-like quality shone in his dark eyes. He was unclothed, save for a tiger skin around his muscular waist. Finding our voices, my friend and I greeted the monk, expressed our admiration for his prowess in the extraordinary feline arena. Will you not tell us, please, how it is possible to subdue with bare fists the most ferocious of jungle beasts, the royal Bengals? My sons, it is nothing to me to fight tigers. I could do it today if necessary. He gave a childlike laugh. You look upon tigers as tigers. I know them as pussycats. Swamiji, I think I could impress my subconsciousness. I could impress my subconsciousness with the thought that tigers are pussycats, but could I make tigers believe it? Of course, strength is also necessary. One may not expect victory from a baby who imagines a tiger to be a house cat. Powerful hands are my sufficient weapon. He asked us to follow him to the patio, where he struck the edge of a wall. A brick crashed to the floor. The sky peered boldly through the gape. The lost toothed space in the wall. I staggered with astonishment. He who can remove a mortared brick from a solid wall with one blow, I thought, must surely be able to displace the teeth of tigers. A number of men have physical power such as mine, but still lack in cool confidence. Those who are bodily but not mentally stalwart may find themselves fainting at the mere sight of a wild beast bounding freely in the jungle. The tiger is in its natural ferocity and habitat is vastly different from the opium-fed circus animal. Many a man with Herculean strength has nonetheless been terrorized into abject helplessness before the onslaught of a royal Bengal. Thus the tiger has converted the man in his own mind to a state as fearful as the pussycats. It is possible for a man owning a fairly strong body and an immensely strong determination to turn the tables on the tiger and force it to a conviction of pussycat defenselessness. Yet, how often I have done just that. Okay, I'm stopping at the top of page 62. I'll read more later. Thanks. Bye.